Hey, greetings, everybody. Keith here. We're hoping everyone's having a good day, enjoying life, living life, loving life. I wanted to come to you this morning with a short, brief review of something Kamala Harris has put out. And I want to show the idiocy of some of these people as they speak in public forums and speak against the very people that they work for, opposing exactly what they put out to the public already. So it's not just the people as slaves that are confused, but the people driving the system are either confused themselves or they're part of the media scam to confuse you to begin with. So rather than doing your research by the news, if you do your research by the history, both past and current, then you're probably going to get a better set of facts to be able to make your discernments from. This is why I tell people I research on both sides of the track. I don't care what kind of nationality you have. I'm going to research on it. I don't care what kind of financial obligations you have or past or wishes or whatever. I'm going to research it on both sides of the track. I'm going to do the research, and I'm not going to listen to anybody else basing their comments on beliefs. When I hear those kinds of beliefs, I'm going to go to something that's been substantiated if I can find it. So this is from the Viral Giraffe. It's a video put on YouTube. So the original source was Viral Giraffe. And VP Kamala Harris calls to reduce population, and she means pollution. No, when you look at her comments, she said both, so she means both. And this is inherently against the natural symbiotic relationship that people and other animals that breathe the air have with the living life forms known as plants that generate the very oxygen that we use. So before we get into it, my reason and logic, and please help me if anybody thinks I'm wrong, in error, but it would seem to me that the more plants you have, the more oxygen would be put out and therefore be more available and usable by the population of the other creatures that use oxygen as a source of life. So that would enhance the population growth rather than put out ideas of depopulation and reducing pollution. What is pollution? That's a belief. Everything that the earth produces, whether it be what mankind calls a toxic gas because it ain't good for them, is usually good for something. It has some kind of value. So rather than just dismissing it as a bad value, you find the opposing polar values that make it good. Because carbon dioxide is good for plants. It would enhance the growth of plants. And there are studies out, and again, if you want to believe their vision, their photos, the satellite photos show that the planet is actually getting greener. which of course is what it's supposed to do if there's more carbon dioxide. And if there's more carbon dioxide that they're feeding off of, it's producing more oxygen. And through the annals of history, we know that supposedly back in certain various ages of time, the oxygen seems to have been at a much greater level. There were much larger creatures, the insects particularly, that can't handle the depleted oxygen that we have today, and now become little teeny tiny creatures. So let's take a look at this.
And so we set an ambitious goal to cut our greenhouse gas emissions in half.
It was a goal to cut the greenhouse emissions in half. And again, if you have reason and logic and you know simple things about the carbon dioxide and oxygen exchanges between plants and animals, of which includes man, then you know that would be probably not so beneficial to the population of those other creatures and animals.
By 2030, and to reach net zero emissions by
net zero emissions. So if there is zero emissions of carbon dioxide, the plants die off. If you're listening to this dumb shit, you're the one caught up in the cognitive dissonance.
2050. The investment we are announcing today will help us to achieve these goals, and it will do so much more. Because
help us to achieve these goals. They want you on their side. And as long as you keep watching it and keep voting for it, your vote will count for your own fucking death. You dumbass slaves.
Think also about the impact on not only the local economy, not only on an investment in the entrepreneurs and innovators from and in the community. Think about the impact on something like public health. When we invest in
think
energy,
about the relationship it has with public health. You know, one of the first conveniences he gave up so you could listen to these fuckers about your health, because you don't know about your health and you're too lazy to find out about your health. So you let them do it all. How convenient.
And electric vehicles and reduced population, more of our children can breathe clean air and drink clean water.
Yay! More of our children can drink clean or breathe clean air and drink clean water. If you get rid of the carbon emissions, as her statement said, zero emissions, you better start holding your breath. You know, that living soul becomes a man when he holds his breath, because when he, upon taking his first breath of life, he becomes an act of God. Yet here, as an act of God, you're going to listen to these babblers and do as they tell you. Really? Really? Confused.
Think of the impact on family budgets.
Yeah, you know, because you got to have money before you got to have air, right? So think about the impact of not breathing on your family budget. It'll save all the food and all the water, everything. It'll produce clean air. Just shut the fuck up.
When we help folks upgrade their heating and cooling systems, we lower.
Oh, yeah, we got to have heating and cooling systems because the natural one doesn't work. Fucking bitch-ass slaves.
Lower the cost of electricity.
Oh, yeah, because you don't know where the real source of electricity comes from. You think it's provided by another man and their company making all kinds of money with it while they're providing all these emissions for nature, and you keep complaining. because you got to foot the bill. Really? That's not what the law says. Bitch ass slaves.
Which means lower energy bills for working parents. So they have more money.
Working parents. That sounds like trans parents today. That's what the whole issue is, transparency about the lies, right? No, the whole issue is about your fucking dull ass.
For groceries and home repairs and school supplies.
Yeah, all the materialistic things that you need to repair the home. Really? You don't even know what the fucking home is. You think it's a box that you live in. Pathetic slaves. So let's take a look at something else. Like I said, you're going to keep listening to the people that are babbling in these public forums and presenting that medium to you as you listen to babble and don't use the cognitive process. It sits there in your emotions and you get all excited when they think, oh yeah, we're going to legislate so we can clean up the world and get rid of the plastic straws. How great! So we end up not using plastic straws with paper wraps. Now we're going to use paper straws with plastic wraps. That'll help reduce that imprint, those carbon emissions, right? Think about it. We're wise. We know what we're doing. You told us to get rid of the plastic straws, so we did. You ain't satisfied, are you? Keep listening to them. Keep voting for them, you bitch-ass slaves. So watch this. Carbon dioxide benefits the world. See for yourself. See, this isn't based on politics. This is based on science. Science that is almost irrefutable. CO2 coalition. That's kind of like collaboration, right? Coalition.org. The white paper summarizes the views of CO2 coalition. You know what a white paper is? White paper is something used to put out to the public the expressed theories as they've been seen. A new independent nonprofit organization that seeks to engage thought leaders, not political leaders, not money leaders, not financial leaders, not trust leaders, policymakers, and the public in an informed, dispassionate discussion. That's one that we don't see too often as it relates to language and messaging, communicating, and all those other things. Discussion of how our planet will be affected by CO2, how our planet is affected by CO2, released from the combustion of fossil fuel. Available scientific facts have persuaded coalition members that additional CO2 will be a net benefit. Rather than immediately setting this document aside for promoting such politically incorrect view, readers would do well to act on the ancient motto of Britain's prestigious Royal Society. So they're trying to tell you to pick between politics and British prestigious Royal Society. I'm urging you to look at use your own natural observances and fuck both the political society and the Royal Society. It has nothing to do in reality with them. They're just putting this stuff out. Don't take anyone's word for it. Or more simply, see for yourself. Claims that 97% of scientists agree that a climate catastrophe is looming because of the emission of CO2 should be greeted with skepticism. Traditional science has advanced by comparing observations or experiments with theoretical predictions. Predictions. You write things that you've not seen except by hear. If there is agreement with theory, the oration of your predictions, confidence in theory is increased. If there is disagreement, the theory is abandoned or it is modified and tested again against observations. This goes on throughout time. Scientific truth has never been established by a consensus. For example, by 97% agreement. History reveals many instances when the scientific consensus of the day was proven wrong. And here we are with the flat earth and globe earth, and still the consensus isn't proven on either side. The widespread embrace and practice of eugenics in the early 1900s. They practiced eugenics in the early 1900s. And when they come about to World War II and find out how much they was practicing experimenting with eugenics, they say, oh, wait a minute, that's all wrong. We're killing our babies. Through all this bullshit in the media and the promulgation that the carbon imprint and carbon emissions is bad and it's killing you, is denying you of the equal exchange in life forms of the oxygen for carbon dioxide and carbon dioxide for oxygen. I think that's a fair exchange. If you want to talk about it in financial terms, so why not just leave it naturally? Because otherwise, when you get involved with it through political societies, royal societies, and you involve that financial mechanism, now you're fucking yourself up. You bitch ass slaves. Opposition to the theory of plate tectonics and geology and dominance of Lysenkoic biology of the Soviet bloc are a few examples. Given the frequency of mistaken consensus, citizens everywhere should heed the Royal Society model and learn as much as they can about how increasing CO2 levels in the atmosphere will affect the planet. So they are, in fact, telling you to look at both the political society and the Royal Society in the various different views. And I'll agree with that. But again, don't limit it to that, but also make your own natural observances to see if either one of them is supported by your own reason and logic. Otherwise, you're nothing but a cognitive dissonance, lazy, greedy ass, bitch ass slave. Green plants grow faster with more CO2. This is something that has been known throughout time. All you cannabis growers. Many also become more drought resistant because higher CO2 levels allow plants to use water more efficiently. And if it works for plants, why the fuck don't you think it would work for mankind? More abundant vegetation from increased CO2 is already apparent. Satellite images reveal significant greening of the planet in recent decades, especially at desert margins where drought resistance is critical. This remarkable planetary greening is a result of a mere 30% increase of CO2 from its pre-industrial level. Still higher CO2 levels will bring still more benefits to agriculture. As society grows in its cognitive dissonance, the people are being dumbed down. It's all because everybody's lazy. They don't want to get out there and experiment with nature themselves. They don't want to see it and observe it themselves. They want to be protected by all the material shit instead of getting out there and being a natural being, a natural creature. And letting that electrical current run through you. gladly taking in deep breaths and exhaling huge amounts of carbon dioxide in exchange. Being blessed and welling over. I hope you guys learn how to start taking into consideration the different opposing views and the ability that you have within yourself to at least observe yourself. So if there's any possibility of a different view, you might be able to find that one, and never know, it might be a better view. Again, throughout the annals of history, people have been consigned to one concept, stuck with it for a long period, and then realized they were wrong and had to change everything. So listen to this stuff, but don't believe it. Like I said, don't believe your neighbor, don't believe your mother, don't believe the government, don't believe me. Do your own research so you can learn and learn to grow yourself. Keep breathing. It'll benefit you. Remember, folks, I love you. I don't give a fuck whether you love me back. I'll be back tonight at 8 o'clock with the next part of our video on They Fell into Dishonor. We'll see you then. Bye.